Right now, there are four major concentration camps operating from the United States. I'm going to break them down in this video. But before I get started, in an effort not to get this video taken down, I'm going to quickly break down what a concentration camp is. A place where large numbers of people, especially political prisoners or members of persecuted minorities, are deliberately imprisoned in a relatively small area with inadequate facilities, sometimes to do forced labor and await mass. Okay. The second sentence isn't a requirement. And also, I'm going to break down why all of these facilities are inhumane. In this case, the persecuted minorities would be immigrants to America, specifically from South America. So the first one is going to be Guantanamo Bay. Guantanamo Bay is a camp that's in Cuba that was established after 9/11 in 2002 to hold suspected terrorists. If you weren't an adult in post 9/11 America, then you probably wouldn't know just how thick the fear of terrorism was back in those days. And it made it possible for a facility like this to even be created. But despite the fact that America was war hungry in those days, it was very quickly controversial because any kind of leak from this facility would show that the U.S. military service members were essentially schmortering these people. And it's made a little bit worse by the fact that it's not really verified that all the people that got sent there were terrorists. And a lot of people would argue that most of the people weren't actually. And it was one of Obama's biggest campaign promises that he was actually going to shut down this facility. Gitmo is what it's called. But like most of the things in his presidency, he was not able to achieve that. And the camp was kind of collecting dust for a long time. It was just losing political popularity. But after Trump got reelected and he announced that he wants to start sending immigrants to camps like this, they announced that they're going to expand it greatly so they can have even more people, except it will no longer just be for terrorists. It'll just be for violent criminals that happen to immigrate to the United States. And as I'm going to get to in a minute, criminal is a very floaty term. As of right now, it is confirmed that 9 people have lost their lives in this camp. Camp number 2 is called CECOT, or CECOT. CECOT is a prison camp that was established in the South American country of El Salvador. Something to know about El Salvador is that not very long ago, it was overrun by crimes from gangs and cartels and things like that. But a new leader came to power that's actually pretty young that basically cracked down on this by eliminating due process in the country and mass incarcerating suspected gang members. For those of you who don't know, this is actually very important for this video. Due process is the legal principle that any person that's captured in your country has the right to prove their innocence, see a judge, just participate in the legal competition to try to free themselves. So Trump saw how the new president Bukele was locking up all of the violent criminals in his country, even though it was under sketchy circumstances a lot of times, and worked out a deal with him where he's going to send immigrants from America to this facility, even if they're not from El Salvador. And again, I can't stress this enough. Even though Donald Trump has advertised that only the worst immigrants will go here, a lot of the people that we know about that have been sent to CECOT, most of them are still there, do not have any criminal record whatsoever. So it seems random at this point. The most famous person to get sent here is someone named Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He was actually from El Salvador, ironically, but he actually got a court order saying that he cannot go back there because of how violent it is, and he had legitimate asylum in the United States. Despite that, they sent him there anyway, and they're still fighting to send him back there currently. The people sent to CECOT under immigration violations in the United States don't have access to their lawyers most of the time. They don't have access to any American judge, and there is no definitive end date for their incarceration. They're just there until Trump says that they aren't. Number 3 is Alligator Alcatraz. Alligator Alcatraz just opened up a couple of days ago. It's not even from the federal government of the United States. This is actually the project of the governor of Florida. In an attempt to win over Donald Trump and by virtue of that, win over Donald Trump's voters, Ron DeSantis, the governor, is trying to create his own camp in Florida where he's advertising that the immigrants that get sent here are going to be so far isolated from the American people that they are more likely to get eaten by alligators or pythons if they escape, hence the name Alligator Alcatraz. Despite the fact that this has only been operational for a couple of days, there's already leaks of people that have been to the facility saying that there's no AC, there's 24-hour lights on where they can't properly get sleep. They're not properly protected from animals like mosquitoes, and it's very prone to flooding. That's just what we've heard about in the couple of days since it's been open. Another rising concern is that it's very prone to the weather in Florida, specifically hurricanes, right? So we don't really know once hurricane season kicks up if the prisoners of this facility will be safe or not. And Alligator Alcatraz has become this like bizarre tourist attraction in Florida. People will go outside the site to like take pictures with the sign. And the government's even selling official merchandise so you can celebrate the fact that Florida has a concentration camp in it, you know? Finally, camp number 4, South Sudan. So South Sudan is a country in Africa that's currently going through some intense political turmoil with their government. I'm not an expert on Africa, but it's chaotic over there right now. They really shouldn't be having this project. And this is actually the camp that we know the least amount about so far. The Supreme Court at one point ruled that Trump couldn't deport people to countries that they weren't from. But in another ruling not too long after that, they actually reversed it, right? So Trump has recently gotten the green light to send people to Africa, despite the fact that they're not there, and despite the fact that there's no end date for their incarceration. As of right now, it's confirmed that 8 people have been sent to South Sudan. As of right now, there's a lot of stuff going on in America right now, so no one's really asking about it, but that is confirmed. And the main thing to keep in mind about all of these camps that I just told you about is that journalists are not allowed inside unless they're on guided tours, and Democratic lawmakers have requested to go into these facilities and inspect them, which is their legal right under the Constitution, but they're blocked at the door almost every time. So if you get deported in the United States, you may go to one of these facilities. Now you know.